see in your room. Okay, so we're starting now.
10 days.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good afternoon, I guess, for some.
Yeah. Okay, so we were just discussing, and people were. It seems like, Mila, that people had a real challenge with getting a grip on what we discussed last week, in paragraph 3.
Yeah, and that's for sure, and that's very normal. You know, with there is this. I think we went Kol Koheles Koshes, right? He talks about all the beginnings are hard. Why is it? Because we need to awaken a new power, right? Koach, he said. So with the first chapter, we went 2 times. So that more or less helped us to have a certain level of isyashwas. Now, when we're talking about a new chapter, there is a reason why they divided by chapters, right? There's a reason why Mimer is divided, or is Halev, or is Beis, or is Gimel, right? It's a new light that they're trying to explain. So when we go into, the new, all of a sudden, like everything what we learned up until now shatters in a way. Like, oh, I thought I understood it. And now, like, where am I putting this new information, right? To which part of my previously known knowledge? We know more or less what chapter 1 is about. And all of a sudden, we need to fit in this information. And sometimes we might feel a little lost. And what's the koach of Iyun? What is it? Remember from chapter 1? Is our bittul, right? The more we empty ourselves out from what we learned in chapter 1 and open our mind to this light, we're going to go through chapter 2. Okay, whatever comes, this is what it is. Chapter 1 wasn't easy for us also, right? It was like, oh my gosh, all these new things. But we got familiar with it, and we talked, and we had diagrams, and we discussed, and then we had certain level of isyashva. So the same thing is going to happen here. Then we could reconcile. After we receive this new light, we could reconcile it with what we had previously known in chapter 1. And then it will start making sense. But up until then, I don't think anybody should be expecting any sense. We're just taking in whatever we could. We're going to take it in to the best of our abilities, with an open, without resisting. That's the main thing. Just open up our kalim, breathe in and breathe out, and just take it. Did I tell you what my daughter said on Shvir Shel Pesach? No? Last week? I don't know if I had a chance to say it. We were having a discussion on Acharon Shel Pesach. What would our family would do? We were eating our Su'udah at night. And I asked the question, that there were 4 groups. There was a group that, wanted to commit a suicide, to jump into water and not do anything to do with Mitzrayim anymore. That's it. They want to be free people and die free. Then there were those who went to daven. And there were those who started praying to Hashem. And there were those that decided to go back to Mitzrayim. So I asked an open-ended question to my kids. I was like, what do you think our family would do? I also wanted to explain them that it was a lot of people. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no WhatsApp messages. And I always worried about the Shevet Dan. Can you imagine, there's about, 3 million people, right? More or less, that's how many people went out of Mitzrayim. And can you imagine you all the way in the back of 3 million people, and Moshe Rabbeinu is all the way in front, and you have no concept about what's going on? Like, how did they send messages? We're just curious. So we were having this discussion. I was like, imagine you're in Shevet Dan, and you're completely oblivious what's going on in front. Who is jumping? You won't be able even to see who jumped into the sea, what was going on in the front lines. And then I said, I'm just wondering, number 1, how we would get messages from the leadership. Number 2, what we would do, which group we would be part of. And then my daughter comes out and she says, oh, I know what we would do. Okay, we would just sit down and meditate, breathe in and breathe out, and everybody cracked laughing. We would just envision ourselves crossing the yams. It was funny, right? How kids pick up on our general energy. And they could already we would be the meditative group, So yeah, so at this point, I think, we need to go into a little bit more meditative state and just let things happen. Yeah, we're going to be learning the new information to the best of our ability, but we need to have that, that bittul, because truly we don't know. I don't know what is he talking about. These are not conscious processes where we consciously understand how things are going and happening through us as we live. So Maria, where are we up to?
Okay, so I think that the best way to do it is really just to share that diagram that we just created. And that's the way we're going to do the summary of last week's class, because it basically sets it all out.
Okay, sharing. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, I'm just gonna get rid of this one. Is it large enough? You see everything?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so this is, the levels of descent in the nefesh.
So
and yeah, you want to go?
I'll go through it and then I'll ask you questions. How about that? I'll be the pupil. So this is what we understand. It might not have been so clear from the text, but basically you have three main levels, or three realities, actually. So the first one is what's called Adam Pnimi. And that is the soul as it is before it's invested in the body, the nefesh, before it's in the body. And okay, so that's the first level. Let's talk about that generally. Then the second level, we're going to leave for now. The third level is Adam Chitzoni, which is the Chai Basar, the life of the flesh. So the first level, number one, is the Adam Pnimi, which is the Neshama, and the third level is the Adam Chitzoni, which is the soul as it is invested in the body. And because the soul is so very different to the body, you need a memutza, you need an intermediary stage in order to get the soul into the body, because the realities are just so different. So that's where you have what's called here number two, the Adam Emtsai. Okay, so that's the intermediary stage. So now so that's what how he describes it in the very first part of the paragraph. He tells you these three levels. Then he goes back and says, okay, within this Adam Pnimi, there are 10 kohot, there are 10 soul powers. Or he puts it this way, he says it's pashut, which means it's simple, it's not compound, it's not made up of parts. And yet it still has within it an aspect of the 10 soul powers. But they are in such a way that they're very different from what we know as the 10 soul powers. Now, the way those 10 soul powers manifest in the soul are called kochet hanituim, the powers that are planted, and they are called the gashmiut of the ruchniut, meaning they're the physical of the spiritual. So if you think about it, the soul is completely spiritual, but the soul powers within it are already the beginning of it being more physical. Okay, because it's starting to move towards the possibility of physicality. So the 10 soul powers here are the beginning of a yesh, in a sense. So it's called the gashmiut of the ruchniut. Okay, so now we go to the Adam Emtsai. And the Adam Emtsai has to really estimate how to take this very, very spiritual reality and put it into a very physical reality. So the job of the Adam Emtsai is to estimate how to put the light into the vessel, as it were. And that's done through letters. It's using letters. So it's beginning to do an estimation of kalim, of how to put kalim into, how to create kalim, to put the light of the soul into the body. And there it's called, the Adam Emtsai is also called Salmia Nefesh, which means that we know there's the idea of Tselem Elokim, that we created in the Tselem Elokim. So it's the form of the soul. And here it's the Giloi of the Otiot of the Nefesh. So it's beginning to transform the Gashmiut of the Rochniut into the, what's going to be, we'll see here, the Rochniut of the Gashmiut. Okay, then the third level is how the soul actually comes into the body. And that's the Adam Chitzoni. It's so funny because we think of it as Pnimi, right? What's in my body feels Pnimi, but in the context of what is real Pnimi means it's something essential. So the real Pnimi, just think about it. If you think about what is your real Pnimiut, it's your neshama. So that might be a bit confusing, but the Adam Chitzoni is the body. It's the Chai Basar, the life of the flesh. And when that's called, the soul powers are called the Ruchniut of the Gashmiut. Because that's, the Gashmiut is literally the flesh, and the soul powers within the body are the more spiritual aspect of the body, or the life force of the body. Let's put it that way. And now, just to complicate matters a little bit more, the way that this life force comes into the body is in stages. And we spoke about, in this paragraph, 2 stages, which themselves need a memutza, which we didn't learn about yet. And so the stages are that, first of all, these soul powers come into the body as hidden soul powers, Halev, and then they become revealed soul powers, which is kochot begiloi. They become revealed. So that's, for example, so the hidden kochot would be, for example, like I have the potential to think, but I didn't yet think. Now, when it becomes revealed is when I actually have a thought, when I actually use that power of thinking. So, for example, we all know we have the potential to do iyun on this paragraph, but we didn't yet do it. So the kochot, our ability of Bina then is hidden. It's just in potential. But when I actually do it, it becomes revealed. So, and the same with chesed and gevurah and all of those, I have the potential to do chesed. That's the hidden power. And when I actually do it, I bring it into revelation. Okay. And now he says that even between these two, the hidden powers and the revealed powers, there's going to be a memutza, something between them. Okay, so does that look familiar? I kind of want to say to you, is that so difficult? I mean, obviously in the details, it's very complex and very profound, but in a way, the way that he's laid it out is not that difficult. You have the soul and you have the body, and you have a mamutza, something that is between them. So here on the right-hand side, we also have a mashal that he gives us all the way through, is that the Adam Pnimi is like the makor, the source, which is like the soil. Then the Adam Emtsai is like the root of the plant. And then the Adam Chitzoni is like the plant itself. And that gives us a mashal to try and understand something that is a little bit abstract. All right.
Okay. And I think it will help us also to understand, thank you, Nariam. It goes in correspondence to the 3 levels that we studied before in the beginning of this chapter. Who remembers that? Yeah? Remember, it's studying something in general, right? Just for the sake of studying it. Then I'm studying it in order to make it. And then I'm actually making it, right? So there are 3 stages. Yeah, people remember that? Yeah, remember? Okay, let me show you that slide that we had right here. Right? Meaning Gimel ration was conceptualization, is just like the concept. It's like a soul is having a concept to enliven the body. Yeah, why not? Wait a second. You're enlivening the body. There is a decision there, right? And then Nehi is how to do it. You see it goes down, and Malchus, it's actually being done. Yeah. So we see that this system actually works everywhere. For example, like here, right? The same story. Adam Pnimi, it's a possibility to enliven the body. Before Adam Pnimi, I'm not sure. I could enliven 10,000 bodies. I could enliven a whole city. And I have a capacity to enliven the whole entire world. That's how powerful the neshama is. Okay, so it's very hard for us to imagine, like, I'm confined to enliven only this particular body, right? It's a potential. Yeah, you could enliven. Then it comes through Adam Emtsai to figure out how my unlimited intellect is going to be enlivening this brain right now. How my unlimited vision to see from one part of the world until the next part of the world is going to see this finite vision that I have right now, hopefully 2020. Okay. How my smell, the power of smell, the power to feel, etc., etc. Every single koheles from generally divided into 2, which is sechel and middos, are going to be enlivening this particular body. Now we are becoming very particular, right? I had an opportunity to build all kinds of buildings, but I'm narrowing down to this particular one. This is my choice, okay? And then Adam Chitzoni, it's actually being delivered into this particular physical body, okay? It starts with the beginning of life, okay? When there is when the pregnancy begins, and then slowly these powers develop as the vessel becomes more complex. Okay, and then it divides into 2. Koheles behelem. Yeah, for example, let's take the embryo. Does he have a power to conceptualize from his source? Sure. Does he actually conceptualize? Is his brain refined enough to actually conceptualize the way we conceptualize now? Not yet. It will come time when his body is going to ripen, or her body is going to ripen, right? They're going to be forming concepts slowly, slowly. Okay. Now, when it's one cell, well, actually 2 cells, when, conception just happened, there is a power to move. There's a power of movement, but there are no hands to move yet. You see? So therefore, it remains in the realm of hidden right here. And when there is a keli, when there's an actual hand or feet or body, whatever else that moves, then the first movement takes place. Does that make sense? So, or the light has to have a keli. On this level, Koheles behelim, it's still in the power. For example, Koach HaMaskil, we know that very well, right? Koach HaMaskil is a power to conceptualize. Okay, it's a power. There is no concepts there. It's a potential to conceptualize. So Koach HaMaskil, our well Koach HaMaskil is going to be right here. It's hidden powers. Once it's going to get revealed, oh, a person has Chochmah Gluya in his mind, in his brain, which part of the brain is going to be the right part of the brain. And then we guys are going to do Iyun, that's going to be the left part of the brain, and the whole circuitry will start running until we're going to have our Tevunah, okay, final Klita, etc., etc. That's going to be already in the revealed part. And what he's saying that between this stage, hidden powers, to revealed powers, there's also intermediaries. Okay, which is okay. Why not? Okay, is that so far understood? Questions?
Mila, I have a question. Sorry to go first.
Why are you sorry to ask?
No, I'm sorry to go first if other people have questions. So the way that you're describing it, it sounds like it happened once, but I imagine that it's also that it's happening all the time, right? That we constantly have this kind of Adam Pnimi, which is surrounding, which is like a surrounding light. And constantly that we're drawing, I'm just asking this, I'm saying this, but I'm saying it as a question, that this is our constant process of drawing light from the Adam Pnimi into the Adam Chitzoni. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure. This whole hierarchy, and believe me, there's more to come, right? Because we're only talking about how nefesh gets enclosed in the body, right? But let's not forgive there's ruah, and then there's a neshama, and then there's a chaya and yechida, and then there's a etzem and neshama. It's a whole seder ishtalshalos that we are constantly processing. Every single moment there is a full recreation, right? And that's actually one of the parts of the machlekes between the Gra and Alter Rebbe, right? What were they really discussing? Where was the issue there? Because the Gra was also a big makubal. He wasn't just a stam person. So part of it is tzimtzum kipshuti or not kipshuti, and also about whether every single moment there is ma'aseh bereishis happening. So every single moment we are going through the same cycle from the essence of our soul into this physical body. Okay. Now, why is this so important to know about it? And truly, who cares? Why is this so vital for us to know this? Because when we understand that there's a constant renewal on a constant basis, it gives us an awareness that we are not finite. We are not finalized in this physical body, and that's just what it is. There is no way up. No, there is way up. Okay, and we're going to see through the whole work of Shara Yichud is to show us how it's all godly, to show us the process. And once we understand this b'derech prat, okay, and like yesterday's Hayom Yom, the whole point of Chassidus is to literally bring us face to face with God. Okay, because in our awareness, God is something completely removed from us. We are not experiencing God. Okay, it's something like distant reality. We want to experience it. We know about it. But the more we go into Derech Prat and see how inside the structure of the world, inside the system, there is no tzimtzum. And this is the goal of all of Chassidus, to show us how there is no tzimtzum. Okay, and how the system works. All of a sudden, our brain, our physical brain, is going to have this aha moment. Okay, and it's going to remove all the boundaries that it had created up until now to separate the perception of God. So that's, this is like a long-term goal, but through us toiling in this is going to be the end result. Yeah, so that's like a little, inspiration. Why are we going into this?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, go ahead, Yoni.
What do you mean that there is no tzimtzum? Because we learn constantly that there's tzimtzum.
What was your question? I'm sorry, Yoni.
What do you mean that there is no tzimtzum? Because constantly in Tanya, it's telling us that there's tzimtzum.
Right. The tzimtzum is an illusion that Hashem created. So we could feel separate, so we could have freedom of choice. But in reality, there is no tzimtzum. And in many ma'amarim, from the Mittel Rebbe, also our Rebbe, that's what the goal of all of Chassidus is, to explain to us how there is no tzimtzum. Not from the point of Hashem, not from the point of a Jew, not even from a point of a tzimtzum itself. There is no tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is an illusion. And the whole goal is to break that illusion and have a true reality, right? In true reality, the way it is, there is no tzimtzum. There is no separation between us and God. It's an illusion, and therefore we create that perception. Meaning that perception is kind of forced on us.
So I guess that's what you were talking about, Mila, that there was a discussion between the Alter Rebbe and the Gra. Is it kipshuta? Like, is it literal? Was there literally a tzimtzum, or there's not a literal tzimtzum? Nachon? Is that correct?
What?
That's what the discussion was between the Alter Rebbe and the Gra, is whether the tzimtzum was kipshuta, which means, was it literal, or is it not literal? Like, it appears like that, but it's not actually like that.
For sure. Because you see, tzimtzum kipshuta, it's easier to live with for our physical brain. It's easier to live. Why? Because that's we explain, it explains us, about the goyim, it explains us about the kedusha, it explains us that, etc., etc.
Mila, what you're saying is overwhelming.
I'm sorry.
Totally overwhelming.
I'm not saying
in the best way, that there is no symptom, that it is only an illusion. It is wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's in this year's anybody who studied the Basilagani from Memhei, right? The way the Rebbe said Basilagani 2 times, 2 rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every year they concentrated from the original Basilagani on a particular ice, on a particular paragraph. And this year's Basilagani was completely threw me off. Completely, everything what I knew up until now was completely just vanished by the Rebbe's going over and over about this idea of tzimtzum, that there's absolutely no tzimtzum, and he just goes and it's an illusion, and it seems like that, but truly it's not. Like it's like a whole mimer is basically on that. And interestingly, Yay, so many people in 770 walked over to me and said, oh, and by the way, the Rebbe says there to study the Mittel Rebbe, B'derech Prat. And I'm like, yes, okay, yes, that's what we're doing. Because the Rebbe says there that the whole concept, what I'm talking right now, is discussed by the Mittel Rebbe. And it has to be done, according to what Mittel Rebbe says, B'derech Prat in Shara Yichud. That's just the quote of the Rebbe in this Ma'amar. There's a whole series of Ma'amarim that the Rebbe said in the Memhei on that particular ois in the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, and it was just like this obsession that the Rebbe had to prove and bring this idea that how there is no tzimtzum.
So,
Yeah,
but just to bring it back to here,
yeah,
because, like these are the pratim that we really want to focus on. Is there an application here so that we can see this process? Or
yes, for example, right? Look what he's saying over here, right? Who is enlivening the body? Let me ask you, who is enlivening the body? Based on this diagram, where the life force is coming from?
from the nefesh. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes through a process, but truly it's like the whole Shara Yichud is going to show how by Pnimius it's all God, how by Pnimius it's all Ruchni, how everything, all the energy, even the most external, we could see. Adam Chitzoni, you have Adam Emtzai inside. Adam Emtzai, you have Adam Pnimi inside. In Adam Pnimi, you see this. You're always able to go through the inside, through the stroim, right? Through the inner flow. You always go to the source. You're always capable to connect something, the most external, to the most internal. And this is the goal of Shara Yichud. That's what it's called. It's a Yichud, right? It makes the Yichud. It makes the unification. The unification is that the world is not separate. If you go from inside to inside, to the inside, to the inside channels is Atzmos Umahus, who is doing all this, is the essence of God. And when we are capable of keeping that in our mind, right? Yeah, 1 second. I understand. So please go to my bed. 1 second. Are you after brachis?
Yeah, I did everything on.
Amazing. Here we go. Yeah, go to. Okay, thank you. And we're capable of really keeping track. The whole Hisbonenus process will bring us to the essence of God. That's the whole goal. Is that we jumping to chapter 10, right? The whole goal is that we're able to trace godliness from anything. Like, for example, like I need to give this credit card to my daughter, right? My debit card. She should buy something. I will be able to capable to track this piece of plastic all the way to the essence of God and come back. Right, this is the chapter 10 that talks about it. The whole Hisbonenus, it's B'derech Prat, is I'm capable every single creation to track and come back. What is it going to give me? Like, why I need to do this? Because my brain creates an illusion of separateness. I need to teach my brain how it's not separate through Hisbonenus. I'm going to bring every single detail, not just in general, Hashem is everything, everything is Hashem. We know that, right? That's an advanced Chassidus class. It's not new. I'm not the person who ever told it to you. I'm sure you heard from many previous shiurim. So what? Everything is Hashem. Hashem is everything. But yet we see October 7th happen. Everything Hashem. Hashem is everything. Then we see all kinds of crazy things happening in the world. And you're like, wait a second, what's going on? Where is Hashem? Right? Why do we say that? Because we don't see Hashem in this. But how can we say there's no Hashem in this? Hashem is in everything. It happens because our brain is separate, right? Our brain creates, that's just what it is. It's like, it's trained, it's programmed to be that, okay? Just by design, because it's a brain of Nefesh HaBahamis. right? We're not thinking with a godly brain. We're thinking with our physical brain of our natural soul, period. On top of that, we go through the whole conditioning of our upbringing, of our parents' programs, and everything else. Right? So we're really so far remote from a true reality, right? And now neuroscience, discovering that everything what we are thinking about, this is what we are recreating in the world, right? And we know it from Chassidus that Yidden are responsible how the unlimited light or Ein Sof is going to be channeled in this world. It's our responsibility. Okay, how are we channeling it through our kelim? Through the levushim of our neshama of machshava, dibur, and ma'aseh. Right? So that's like very, very powerful statement. And yes, our thoughts create events in the world. Okay, that's a very powerful statement, but it's a fact. It's brought down in Chassidus. I could show you the sources. And then you all of a sudden coming with this interesting realization. Okay, so obviously we are bringing into this world something that we ourselves don't desire. Okay, so what do we do with this? Now, we need to bring it back. We need to kind of retract it all the way to the essence of God, because from the Das Elyon perspective, there is no bad exist in the world. There is no bad. We have everything. If we live from our essence perspective, there is absolutely no lack in anything. No lack, nothing. No chisaron. Okay, so obviously we somehow, get along the way this feeling of separateness, and we, recreate all these things over and over and over again. So how can we break through this cycle? Is the hisbonenus. Hisbonenus is an ability to let go of our perception and being able to travel all the way to the essence of Hashem and see it from that perspective. Because truly we are the essence of Hashem. We are one. So from the up-down perspective, there is no chisaron. So what do we do if we are faced with chisaron? Obviously, we are not living through our essence. So the hisbonenus process teaches us how to go up the ladder, right? Slowly, slowly, we're going to put bricks upon bricks. And yes, I agree with you. It's a very boring thing. Have you ever watched builders build a wall? I was obsessed watching builders since my childhood. It's something phenomenal, right? They have all, in my times when they were building a house, they had very minimum technology. So there was nothing fancy. They just had a string. They would pull a string to make sure that the wall is going to be straight. Okay. Horizontal string and a vertical string. Okay. And this guy boringly would pick up a brick, put cement on the side, push it, hit it with his whatever, with the back of his whatever, tool he was using to smear it, and then would move aside, see if it's straight, and then move back. And he did it over and over, over and over, over and over. And it was marvelous thing to see. But there was no novelty there. It's not like, creating something. This is the most boring thing that a person would be spending days on, days, okay, until he would build, a big wall, a tall wall. That's it. That's all what he did. His mission was to put brick upon the brick and that it make sure that it's straight. So this is what we're doing. And yes, is it like the most exciting thing when you see, learning the sechel, the derech klal, and an inspirational and all that? No, we're putting brick by brick, and that's just what it is. But then you have a huge wall, a strong wall, a straight wall, right? That you could use and, to lean on and whatever, whatever else the wall, gives us. Anyway, so coming back to this,
Mila,
to this level.
Can I just say something? I mean, I
Yeah.
just had like an aha moment. You said many things, but right there in the beginning, I suddenly understood the idea of the histalshalut, which means like it's a chain. And by learning b'derech prat, what we're doing is we are realigning our brain to understand how one thing is linked to another, like there's a chain, literally like here, the Adam Pnimi is linked to the Adam Emtsai, which is linked to the Adam Chitzoni. And so what I understood really for the first time is that by learning Shara Yichud, really b'derech prat, in details, and doing the hitbonenut, we start to train our brain to understand consciously and unconsciously the connection of one thing to another thing to another thing, like how things come down.
Beautiful. And it's going to be such a connection in Tevunah. This is what our goal, that is going to be so engraved in us. A true reality, not a false narratives of our parents, of the society, of everything else, what we learn. This is all our circuitry is garbage, half of it. I'm sorry for using this word. It's not even helping us. We are constantly thinking the same patterns in our brain, and we are recreating. We have a responsibility to bring down Or Ein Sof into this world, and this is how we're breaking it, how we're bringing it. This is exactly, whatever we see around us, we created it. We are co-creators whether we want it or not. So if we continue thinking our old patterns of thoughts, we're going to recreate the same garbage again and again. And I don't know if you love everything what's going on in the world. I don't. Some things I love, some things I don't. So if we continue doing that, so we continue creating the Golus. The Rebbe empowered us 30 years ago that Golus is over. But yet we'll hold on to this narrative and we continue recreating it. And it's nobody else. Every single person in this room right now, we have 12 people recreating it. Okay, so it's nobody outside of us who is going to change it. And the Rebbe said it in Koach Nisan Sicha very clearly. We going to change it. That's it. And it's us. It's nobody like, oh, let somebody else to do it. Let this rabbi take care of it. Let the other rabbi take care of it. I'm just going to follow. Rebbe said, no, it's over. This era of Rebbe doing the work for Chassidim is over. So now it's the ball is in our court, and this is it. Like, this is, on one hand, it might be like, oh my gosh, this is scary and depressing. I take it totally differently. I was like, amazing. This, I think it's an amazing empowerment that the Rebbe is giving every single person here. It's like, that means we can do it. That means we literally have all the powers. Even the smallest person that my people are thinking, who am I, what am I, and all that. We have the mental, emotional, and the spiritual capacity to do what needs to be done. And this is, I think, the most marvelous thing. It's not like, oh my gosh, why, Rebbe, didn't you continue doing it for me? No, that's beautiful. Let's just do it. That's it. So his bonus is the key. And I know, like, I'm sure this is like a minute drop in a whole big ocean, but it surprisingly, we don't really need to do it all the way. Right? Meaning Hashem meets you halfway and he pulls you out to the other level. It's not like, I'm all alone. It's not, because first of all, we're a whole group here, so we're not all alone, right? There's consistently 11 people in this room every single time. Now it's 12, so that's Chazdei Hashem. But then also within our powers, right? Anybody who tasted his bonus, and I'm sure many of you did, you feel that you're being pulled into a different reality, right? Anybody who did it, you feel it. You feel this koach hamashiach that Hashem is helping you. This is not only your soul is helping you with that. It's a beautiful, marvelous experience. And then we see how all of a sudden the whole world is realigning. Why? Because we are realigning right here. Koti, you muted.
Okay, Mila, I have a request. Okay.
We have teachers like you. Thank you.
No,
I'd
it's a
like
very
to
big
share something.
achayus.
I'd like to share something very powerful. I'm not muted now. I feel like these words about the symptom not existing, that it is an illusion that I can break, that the Rebbe empowers us to break this illusion. I suddenly feel like Hashem is penetrating me and I have him all inside.
And that's beautiful. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
My question is, how do we keep this all of a sudden such clarity? How do we keep it through moment by moment, hour by hour, like throughout the day, this clarity that there's no tzimtzum, Hashem is with us, and we have all the koiches that we need and clarity that we need. How do we keep that up?
That's why
Brachas.
Hashem gave the tzitzis and mezuzahs.
And brachas
I'm not
all the
sure
time.
if I understand your question, Tzipi.
I think there's the question is really asking b'derech prat, like how do we have this sense? And my feeling is that Mila's talking about something else, which is that the question is asking in a way of klal, like having an overall sense of something. But my feeling is from what Mila's describing, she's describing the process of doing real intense work, b'derech prat, into learning about an alternative universe, which is really what the Mittler Rebbe is describing to us. It's the universe we don't see. It's the interconnected universe that connects us to Hashem. Now, when you start to dedicate your time and your yigia to do work into learning this b'derech prat, then it starts to engrave into your brain a different reality. And then that reality will start to become part of your everyday reality. But it takes time because the physical reality that we live in is something that, we've lived with for a long time. But when you start to do this work, it begins to imprint onto your reality. And then you see reality through a different lens and with a different brain. But as we learned in paragraph 1 and 2, until you put it into the level of Tevunah, until it becomes part of your brain, then it's just kind of like it's sitting there and it's leaving and it's coming and going. So if you want it to be something, Tzipi, that is constant, then you have to do the iyun to the point that it goes into the klita, like it imprints on your brain and doesn't just become something that comes and goes.
Right. And I think this is what this chapter is talking about. This chapter is talking about this integration process, that it's not just in our thinking brain, and it's not just in our feeling brain, but it's actually in our being brain. We become the concept. And the minute our body, right, our body becomes the concept. And what is the concept? Is God. We are being fully realigned, meaning up until now, our body and the body perception were interfering with the true reality. Now, by us bringing this into the consciousness of the body, we are realigning the body to the true reality.
Remember, there was a chassid who said, Hashem, why didn't you put the world into a book and the Torah into the world? But the fact is we live with the world, and the Torah is we don't live with that reality. But when you do the itbonanut, it slowly carves away at the way that you experience reality. If there are not more questions, I think that we should really go on to the next paragraph. And Mila, perhaps you can download this image to the WhatsApp group so that everybody can have
Yes.
access to it.
Yes, I'll do that. That's
Thanks.
slide number 35. Okay. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, amazing. So what should we do? Are you ready for a new text? For paragraph 4? Yeah, ready or not, here we come. Okay.
Oh, Mila didn't go to, oh, it didn't, okay, maybe it came to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna share this.
Okay.
And I think this one, Nechama is gonna love. Is Nechama with us today? This paragraph.
She's not here.
It's a special for those who always have question. What with our heart? Right? This is about our heart. Okay. Is it big enough? Okay. 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 V'ha'inyan right? We are paragraph number 4. Okay. V'ha'inyan she'ikar b'chinas Adam. Right? That the essence of the man, Adam, is primarily b'chinas hamiddos hamegalim b'kli halev. Okay, the main attribute is the middos that are revealed in the vessel of the heart. And this is what the main person is about. It's like, wow, it's not intellect, it's the heart. Right? How do we know that? From the first chapter, right? And from yesterday's and today's Tanya, by the way, those who did it, in Chitas, we spoke about Bina, Liba, Pnimius, Nekudas, Halev, right? And Tanya, who remembers that? Yeah, you could, raise your hand. And, but v'shar shamhu b'kli hamayach. And interestingly, the middos of the heart, they are rooted in the vessels of the intellect, right? And they're being projected from there. And they are called b'chinas middos shebesechel. And these are the intellectual attributes, right? That's in the sechel, right? We're just gonna separate that. Shebesechel. Actually, maybe we should not. Shebesechel. Shehem middos, the Chochmah middos the Bina, right? Which are the attributes of Chochmah and the attributes of Bina. And by now you already know that this is Yisrael Saba and Tevunah, because this is what, the terminology for the middos of the Chochmah and Bina. Okay? Ve'al derech ha'adam hagashmi sheyesh bo gimel bechinos. And this is similar to the physical human being who has 3 levels. Right? If we look at the human being, what do we see? We have Rosh, Guf, V'regel. Right? We have a head, okay, we have the body, the torso, and the feet. Right? That the head corresponds to the roots of the attribute in Chochmah and Binah. Right? We just said. This is the roots. V'hagufu his galos hamiddos belev. And what's the body represent? The body represents the middos, the revelation of the middos in the heart. Right? And what the legs are? Ubchinas haregel, hu bchinas his pashtusam beibri hamaisa. And the feet correspond to the extension into the organs of action. Right? We know that, right? We walk with feet, and it also includes the hands. Right? But if we look in general, the hands are bottle to the torso, right? If we look by derech klala, the person, we see head, we see torso, and we see feet. Okay, ach bechinas atzmius hachochma v'habina, right? However, the essence of Chochmah and Binah themselves, what they serve, Hem memutzoyim bilvat, they serve only as intermediaries. Believe it or not, right? So they serve for the purpose of the heart. Bein Adam chitzoni shebelev. They serve the intermediaries between Adam chitzoni. We already know which one, right? Shehu inyan eser koiches shebenefesh. That it is, which refers to the material faculties, right, within the soul. Before they got revealed in the moach and halev, right? So the essence of the Chochmah and Binah, these are the intermediary faculties, and between Adam shebegilui, and between the aspect of the man which being revealed. Shu bechinas is galos eser koches begilui. Okay, so now here, remember these the lower three levels that we discussed. This is the concealed powers and the revealed powers. So the Chochmah and Binah, the essence of Chochmah and Binah, are these intermediaries between these three levels. Okay, so we're gonna go here, and like we're talking about these three levels now. So Koheles Time, these are the essence of Chochmah and Binah. So now all of a sudden, it becomes clear to us the service of Chochmah and Binah. They're not on their own. They're only intermediaries between the hidden powers of the soul and the revealed powers of the soul. Okay? They serve like a shuttle in a way. They serve to bring the hidden powers into revealed powers. And you already have that example from chapter 1. Tell me, how Chochmah and Binah were the triggers, and we had already one beautiful example. Who could think of that? How Chochmah and Binah brought about the revelation of a hidden power from chapter 1. Okay, the hint, koach.
I have an example.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, so Rabbi Goldstein always tells this story, after like months or weeks in a coma from COVID, et cetera, when it came to therapy, and thank God he came back to life, the therapist said to him, stand up, which means that the therapist, they could be sued. If you can't stand up, you can't say. They knew by experience from this kind of work that he has in his 10 koheles and nefesh the ability to stand up. But it was like saying, it was like saying fly to the moon. He was like, are you joking? These legs are jelly beans. They haven't been used in months. Like, you must be joking. But obviously the therapist sensed that in his 10 koheles and nefesh, it's totally it's possible. I'm not going to say totally possible. And so he knew that there was no way he could do it himself. And they kept saying, no, stand up. He's like, what? And so finally he pictured himself. He says he pictured the Rebbe standing in front of him. And the Rebbe said to him, Levi, stay up, stand up. And he stood up. So he connected this potential of his 10 koheles nefesh with something actual by whatever means he needed to use, but he magnetically pulled out of the potential of his 10 koheles nefesh into actual deed. So
this is beautiful. Yeah, that's great. But let's go back to something we already know. We learned it thoroughly. There was one koach hanefesh that we discussed at length, and by now you guys 2 times we did it. Yalla, let's go. Tell me.
Maybe you mean das.
No, there was a specific koach which is hidden. It's so hidden deep in the earth. Come on, guys. More than that. By doing something which is from Koheles Time, which is now we add additional term for Chochmah and Binah, right? We do this, and all of a sudden it comes into a revelation. What was that?
Mm.
Come on, go back to the masha of the
Are
river.
you talking
What
about
river reveals?
Are you talking about the aquifer and the
Beautiful,
Gideon?
amazing. What is that aquifer called?
Time.
Gidim.
Oh,
No, the Gideon come from the aquifer.
exactly. What was that power? It's a
Oh,
power
yes.
to,
The Tahim is the very root of it.
which is what? The name. It's this uses the same koach.
Hamaskil you were talking about.
Amazing, beautiful. Yes.
I thought you were saying it
Still
before, and you
is
didn't say it.
very, very hidden. It's a hidden power. And it's not going to come into revelation unless it's being triggered by
Below.
by what? Depending who you are. If you're a Rebbe, it's triggered by your ratzon, right? Remember up, down? It's triggered by your ratzon. But if you are like most of us, right? It's going to be triggered by who?
Your iyun.
Your Iyun, which is Bina of Bina. This is exactly what is he talking about, but from another angle. But we already have that familiarity, or should have that familiarity, that our Koach Bina and Chochmah are there to reveal the hidden powers of this level of Adam Chitzoni to come into Gilui. Okay, and Bezrat Hashem on chapter 3, we're going to talk about how vision works. It's very, very interesting, right? So I'm just creating some saliva. so you could, it's phenomenal what he's talking about, you know, the vision and amazing stuff. But anyway, we are right here. This is our Chochmah and Binah are right here. So we're going to go back to our text.
Clarify, Chochmah and Binah is koyach ha'emtza'i?
That's what he says here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Shebechinas, where is it? Before they are revealed in the vessels of the intellect. Here we go. He says, Shehu inyan eser koches shebenefesh, right? Kodem shenitgalu bekli hamoach v'halev, uben bechinas adam shebegolui. Yeshu bechinas itgalus eser koches begilui, nimtza sheikar agiu bekli hamoach, bechinas or pnimi hu kasher ba ha-sechel lahaskil begilui. Right? So I think it was a little bit before that, right? Here. Ach bechinas atzmius ha-chochmah ve'bina hem memutzoyim bilvad. They're only intermediaries. Okay? This is a great answer for everybody who worries that Chabad is only an intellect, that Chabad is only in the brain, and they don't know how to connect to the heart, etc., etc. I don't know which Chabad they are talking about, but the Chabad that is supposed to be is very much connected to the brain, and it's very much connected to the essence, okay, of the Chochmah and Bina, which is, I'm sorry, that's very much connected to the heart through the Chochmah and Bina, right? So the Chochmah and Bina, we already know from chapter 1, they are the channels, they are the Gidim. Remember? The mazolis, right? The Yud Gimel, the 13 attributes of mercy. And who remembers that Chochmah was number 8 and the Bina was number 13, right? Notzer v'nakeh. Okay, so they are like straws. Imagine the straws being inside the cup, and that's through which the powers are being channeled. Okay, so they are memutzoyim bilvad, right here, right? They are intermediaries only. Bein adam chitzoni, what are they intermediary? They are the memutzoyim between the external person, right? The adam chitzoni, which is behelem, which is what? So he clarifies it. Shehu inyan eser koiches benefesh, that which refers to the 10 powers of the soul. Okay, kodem shenidgalu b'kli hamoach v'alev, before they are being revealed in the brain and in the heart. Obein bechinas adam shebegilui, and between the aspect of the man which is revealed, right? Shu bechinas idgalus eser koiches begilui, which is the revelation of the 10 faculties in revelation. Okay, v'nimtza, and we find sheikar hagilui b'kli hamoach, and we know, turns out that the main revelation in the vessels of the intellect, it comes bebchinas or pnimi, right? An aspect of the inner light. Ukasher ba sechel lahasechel begilui, right? Which is when the intellect comes into illuminate inner revelation. Bebchinas middos, specifically in the middos, hamistafim in sechel, that branch out from the intellect. V'zeu inyan Tevunah, and this is the aspect of the Tevunah, and this is the chiddush of Chabad Chassidus, to show that the whole avodah is to elevate the body. That's all. That's the whole avodah is about. Like the soul doesn't need an upgrade. The soul is connected with God. Why in the world she needs to come into this physical world? What's the purpose? Just to inflict her? She just give her a job that has absolutely no accomplishment? No. The whole point is that she will elevate the body. How would she elevate the body? Like how in the world the soul is going through this huge, so-quote, symptom, right? From being capable to enliven the entire world. Now she is metamtem to enliven this meager body. For what? Why Hashem needs to go through all this? To make her suffer? And she is suffering. Our soul is suffering through, just being, forced into this body, and being able to be, to have such a concealment. And what's the purpose? The purpose is that there's going to be Tevunah. Tevunah is the engravement in the physical body, right? She's capable of actually affecting the body, that the body changes. The nature of body changes. And with neuroscience, in our generation, we could actually see that happening. There's a koach chadash, there's a new power right now is being engraved in the physical brain, okay, that says God exists, okay, in whatever variations, whatever else we are learning, but that's the bottom line, right? So that engravement is so essential, and this is the purpose of the soul, to affect the body. Okay, so if we take before and after snapshot, before the soul's intervention into the body to the after, the body has to change. And now, why is Hashem in the world is obsessed about this physical body? That's a different discussion, because it says that the body was created b'koach atzmus, with the power of atzmus, more than the soul. And that's why Bezrat Hashem in the Geula Amitis Vashleima, that should be, completely revealed. We will see how the body nurtures the soul. But that's another discussion. But for the sake of us, we see over here that the whole Iker is the middos. Why? He explains why Iker is the middos. Because the middos are the one who actually gonna affect the body, right? In a permanent way. That is going to be an impression in the heart, an impression in the mind. Aval itgalus bechinas Bina, but the revelation of the aspect of Bina, okay, we are right here. Hu begilui bechinas memutza, but the revelation of the aspect of Bina, which is understanding, is the revelation in the aspect of the intermediary, meaning it's still a memutza, adayin, yet. V'lachein lo nikra adayin b'shem klita b'kli. And therefore, it is not yet called an absorption or engravement in the vessel, b'chinas or pnimi, in the aspect of the internal light. Okay, hagam shu b'chinas isyashvut chol. Although it had come to the aspect of isyashvus, which is being internalized, settled, but not yet engraved. And therefore, the Tevunah is the main part, which is what? And there's a famous pasuk, okay, v'zeu inyan mayim amukim, okay, the deep waters, eitza b'lev ish, right, the counsel in the heart of man. Or v'ish tvunos yidalena, and a man of Tevunah, it's not really understanding, right? It's the man of Tevunah. Understanding is Bina. It didn't say navoin. It says ish Tevunah yidalena, will draw it out. Meaning the deep waters, right? With eitza b'lev, right? The counsel of the heart. Again, it's talking about the heart more than the mind. Okay, the men of understanding will draw it out. Interestingly, why is it like this? Because the deep waters refers to what? Bina refers to the depth of Bina. Remember? The river, the expansion, right? The deep, which is we're diving into this middle of the river, right? Which is the Streim. The Streim is connected to the Ma'ayan. We're really going deep, deep inside. And that's the Bina. We all know that from chapter 1. Right? That's yet above this capacity to actually get absorbed in the physical brain. Right? Its root is in the aspect of the heart of the man, which is above, right? Right? It is rooted in an aspect which is above the vessels of the body. How do we know this? We're talking about Bina Liba here. Okay, let's read it again. Right? This level of Bina, it is yet above this the vessel of the body, right? Lev ish, right? And the root is an aspect of the heart of the man. What do you mean, heart of the man? We're talking about this heart? No, we're talking about Bina Liba, where the actual heart is rooted in. Right? Which is above the vessel of the body. But this message of the Bina Liba, right, is only that this depth is revealed in the letters of the thought of the intellect. Okay, and what is it? But the main aspect of waters is an aspect of the middos. Why? Pnimius Halev, that's in the inner heart, right? We all agree with that, right? We don't want just intellect to be revealed. We want our essence of our soul, which is our heart, being revealed. What do you mean? What do you mean, my heart? My heart is right here. No, it's not. We're talking about our inner heart, Pnimius Nekudas Halev. And it says, Pnimius Halev. Okay, Shemegale b'machshava de Bina. But that Pnimius Halev, we already know that it's being revealed in the thought of Bina, right? Because what Bina does, Bina thinks. Okay, it's in the thought of Bina. Afal pikein, but nevertheless, and b'chinas Halev, they're being concealed, right? Okay, v'hitkalalus b'machshava de Bina, and they are being it's still in the concealment and the inclusion of the thought of Bina. But they're not being revealed yet, right? They're not being recognized yet. Okay. And they are not yet absorbed in the vessels of the intellect. And why this is so important for the vessel of the intellect, for the vessels of the brain actually absorb that light, because it has to project in the heart. Right? Meaning, the way I see it, that our Bina has to accept the Pnimius Nekudas Halev through Eki Asher Eki, which we discussed in the first chapter, and therefore it's going to project in the heart. That's why it's a memutza. What's a memutza? Memutza, it's like intermediary phase, right? It's like a mirror, right? It's going to take a snapshot of above. It's like a have you ever looked how camera works? That's exactly what camera does, right? The camera is the lens. It's taking the snapshot and then produces it, right? So that's exactly what Bina does. Bina takes that snapshot of the Pnimius Nekudas Halev of essence of the soul and projects it in the heart, right? And in order for that to happen, it has to go through this engravement in the sechel, because the middos in the revealed way come from the sechel. So therefore, it's essential that there is an engravement in the sechel. then we can ensure the continuity of the middos. Therefore, we don't want to forget about Hashem. We don't want to forget. That's, remember the second paragraph where we discussed Bina versus Tevunah, right? Bina, a person could still forget, although it's in the hisyashvut stage. But if ish Tevunah, he doesn't forget anymore. It's fully engraved in his body. No matter how long will pass, it's hardwired in the brain. So who cares if it's hardwired in the brain or not? Well, we care, because if it's hardwired in the brain, middos are coming from the brain, is going to be reflected in the heart at all times. And that's what we want, right? And they're not being recognized begilui. Right? It's not fully absorbed in the vessel of the intellect. And therefore, they are not yet fully settled in a complete way. Okay? And therefore, this whole concept called deep waters. Deep is like it's there, but I don't see it. Okay, that's Bina. Bina is deep waters. Okay, Kmo hamayim kol zman shem amukim eina niglim la'ayin haroya. What do you mean deep waters? Like waters that remain hidden in the depth, not revealed yet to the eye of the observer. Right? It's deep. So what ish Tevunah does? Remember to the pasuk, right? Ish Tevunah yidalena. What does this mean, yidalena? Aval ish Tevunah, but the ish Tevunah hu hakoilet oray sechel b'moach. Ish Tevunah is the person who already at the level that he absorbed this light of the intellect in his mind. Yidalena. He will draw it out. Meaning he's capable of taking this deep water and bringing into revelation, into revealed state. Who cares if it's revealed or not revealed? Well, we all care if it's revealed or not revealed, because we all know we have all these beautiful otzar. We all know these beautiful things in our heart, but we don't feel it. We are not conscious of it. And we want to be conscious of our hidden powers, right? We want to bring Hashem into our consciousness. We want to live it. We want to experience it. And in order for it to be an experience, it has to go through the process of Tevunah. Not just thinking brain, not just feeling about it, but being it. Okay, Yidalena, right? Sheyishavena ki'ilu lo haya omek klal. What now? There's another twist to it, right? And he will draw it out as though it were not deep at all. How is that possible? You know, a person just like simply talking about certain concept that people are completely oblivious about. Or a dancer. Have you ever looked at this, you know, amazing ballerinas, or, you know, this professional dancers who have been dancing for, I don't know, since they were born, okay, in this all kinds of, you know, professional dancing clubs, and all of a sudden they come out and they dance, and they do it like effortlessly, right? Or let's say a musician who is professional musicians, and they play like nothing, you know, so easily. This is what we're talking about. Once a skill is learned on the level of Tevunah, a person can do it as if there's no depth at all. It's like the water carrier, right? When all the way and God does deep waters, Yidalena, drew it out, and then you look at it and you're like, yeah, well, it's waters. It's in the river, no? What's the big deal about it? So this is another aspect of Tevunah, that if you remember, he's able to, even on the level of hisyashvus, which is Yisrael Saba, he's able to have wide application of the learned concept, right? So the same thing is here. He's able to absorb the light to such an extent that there is no effort there anymore. All the effort is done. Everything is easy now, right? So our brain, up until Tevunah, works very, very hard to create the pathway. So it's going to be hardwired. So there's actually going to be a fold. But after that, everything is easy. Why? Because the path is there. The river just needs to flow. It's not a big deal. Why? Because water flows. But to create the vessel for the light to flow, it's a lot of work. Like it's like the dancer who still learns to dance, or like the painter. It's like you go to these fast paintings, they do it like, a sketch in 3 seconds. And you're like, well, that's easy. I have a paper, I have a pencil. And he wasn't like thinking, he was even talking to me while he was drawing. How did that happen? Because he's ish Tevunah in that particular skill. And that's why he's able to do marvelous thing effortlessly. Okay. Why is it? Because the depth of the intellect has been absorbed in the mind in the aspect of complete settling. And as a result, the attributes of the middos in the sechel are being revealed from the concealed state, okay? Mi'amukasam, right? From the depth. Okay, shahayu klulim betchila bebchinas bina, that they were enclosed in the aspect of bina, and now they're being revealed because bina was ma'im amukim, right? And ish Tevunah yidalena, right? And ish Tevunah is going to reveal them. And therefore, because they were so rooted and concealed, they were not recognized. And now they're being become aware of and revealed in the brain, gomor, in a complete revealed state. And this is all done through the koach of the Tevunah, and it's enough for understanding, right? Now, ועל דרך הקבלה ידוע דאמא ואבא אלוהים נקראים נסתרות, and in the Kabbalistic literature, right, we know that Ima va'Abba, which is who is our mom and tati, right, is our Chochmah and Binah, right, they are hidden. They are called hidden. And the hidden things belong to Hashem, our God. Tumurim tachas adikna, the arich, right? Now, because they are concealed under the beard of arich, right? We learned about it, remember? That gnuzis, right? This is another verse, is tumurim, they're hidden under the beard. Yes, we don't see what's going on there. Arich, remember, arich was a long face. It actually has a beard. And it is known that the arich, which is the ratzon, is above the level of atzilus, the kelim of atzilus. And therefore the kelim, the vessels of the father and mother, which is our Chochmah and Binah, are not complete vessels, meaning they're not fully, what's the point of vessels? Well, who cares? I mean, they're complete vessels, they're not complete vessels. Do they have vessels? They don't have vessels. Well, we care because we have such a complex internal structure, right? We want things to be revealed. And in order for things to be revealed, they have to have a proper kelim, right? I cannot drink my coffee if it's not in a cup. I cannot enjoy it. Okay, concept of coffee. Okay, a concept of coffee. Okay, it's nice to know that something wakes you up in the morning. But I want to experience it, right? I want to actually taste it. And the only way I can taste it and enjoy it and carry it around with me if it's in the cup. So the same thing is the keli has to be gomor. The keli has to be completed, right? And Chochmah and Binah still have the aspect of hiddenness in them because they do not have a proper kelim. That's why they are more on a hidden side. Therefore, the revelation that comes through the vessels of Chochmah and Binah is not a complete revelation. How do we know? Because it just flies back. Remember, Chochmah is Barak HaMavrik, revealed, not revealed, revealed, concealed, revealed, not concealed. You caught me, good for you. You didn't catch me, your problem. Right? That's not a full revelation. Full revelation is it gets revealed and stays there. Right? It doesn't go back. It doesn't vanishes because there's something there that holds it. Okay? So the same thing is with Bina. Bina, we have thoughts. How many of us are really able to direct those thoughts for more than 10 seconds intentionally? Yeah, thought is like goes. But at the same time, we all know how to talk a language. We're not thinking about what to say and how to say them at this point in life, right? How come? Because we already have a circuitry, right? That's already on the level of Tevunah versus on some kind of concept that sits in our mind that we are trying to focus on. You see the difference between the Bina and the Tevunah. Tevunah, we don't have to think about it. It just comes. It's our state of being. We don't have to think about walking. We don't have to think about how to carry for things, okay, where to put. We don't have to think about it. It's a circuitry automatized in our brain that carries all these things. We don't have to think about breathing, right? It happens already automatically. And this is what level we want to bring an awareness of Hashem, to this level. And we're going to know about it with such effortlessly. It's going to become like as if there was no depth to begin with. Okay, okay, and therefore, when we are talking about only Chochmah and Binah, we do not see the final purpose. Okay, Sheba, that's in it. Which is truly has to be the midah that branches out for them. And therefore, it's not yet recognized. But it's not like that already when we're talking about the kelim of Yisrael Saba and Tevunah. Hem kelim gumurim. They are final vessels, meaning they are complete vessels. Okay? B'madregas kelim de Atzilus. And they're already in the level of the vessels of Atzilus. And therefore the revelation that comes through the letters of Yisrael Saba and Tevunah, is ham gilui gomer. Therefore it's already a complete revelation. And therefore the final purpose is already defined in the letters of Yisrael Saba and Tevunah. How do we know that? A person already decided to build that house. He already identified what colors of walls are going to be there, what tiles are going to be in his kitchen, how his kitchen floor is going to look like. It's defined. It's not just like a theory. Or he's still choosing. No, he finalized it. This is the house I want. These are the type of plants I want in my garden. You see, it's a very, very concrete. So the essence of the attribute derived from them is clearly recognized. Okay, it's no longer a possibility. It's like a shidduch resume, right? You already know what type of person you want. It's not like, oh, well, I just want to have a man. No, you already know character, what this person should be, although you never know. But I'm talking about, at least in your mind, that's recognized. What type of person you're doing it, you're looking for, okay? And what kind of life you want to live. Okay, so then once that already defined, that's Yisrael Saba and Tevunah. Therefore, they are called complete kelim. So through them, already something concrete could come. But if a person is still in the mind, in the realm of mind, we don't know what you want. It could be this, and maybe tomorrow you're going to come up with a new idea, and it could be changing, right? Meaning the decision is not formulated clearly. Okay. I hope that was not as overwhelming. Wow, we actually had an additional 2 people joined us. We have 14 people now in this room.
So that was quite overwhelming, actually.
He also,
Tzipi, what did you say?
Yisrael Saba is also koyach emtzai? Or is it more?
No. There's no intzai. Only Chochmah and Binah is intzai.
So where does Yisrael
Saba and Tevunah, it's already concrete.
So it's more chitzoni. When you talk concrete, you mean chitzoni, the way it's actually in the goof?
Yes. Yisrael Saba and Tevunah, it's already in the body. That's it. It's engravement process. Yisrael Saba navigates. Okay, right here we're going to engrave. And Tevunah is going to engrave right there. Okay?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. But remember,
seeing it where on the map, like, you know what, where is it? Is it closer to God, to Hashem? Is it closer to the body, or is it in between, or is it in between and between the body and between of the between, you know, like having a picture where everything fits in is kind of.
Well, first of all, Tzipi, God is everywhere. So there's no such a thing as closer to body, closer to God, or closer to body. Just erase that reality from your brain right now. God is literally in every step of the Seder Ishtalshalos. From Pnimius shebepnimi to chitzoni shebechitzoni. It's our awareness, that's where we get stuck. Something is closer, something more external, and all that stuff. Okay.
So why are we going through all this? I mean, obviously we need to have it in some kind of a map in our mind.
For sure. The Koheles HaNefesh, for sure. It's something from abstract into concrete. That's what we're working on, right? Something, you know, I can have any house, not sure where I'm going to build it. Okay, let's make it concrete. You want to draw something, right? Who is a painter here? Anybody does art? Painter? Jewelry maker. Yoni, you do jewelry, right? You could make anything. You know how many stones out there? You could make any necklace. You can make earrings. You could make nose rings. You could make, I don't know, crowns. Jewelry is a very broad spectrum of things. Any color you want, any metal you want, any, right? That's like a potential. But then Yoni is going to sit and is going to say, you know, I feel like I want to do something with rubies today. Okay. It's just like, I just have this like red energy coming to me. Okay. That's what creative people do, right? They feel energy. And they were just like walking down the street and they see a rose and all of a sudden, oh, I want to do rubies. This is it. They go to the store, they go to the pantry, wherever they keep their stuff, and they take rubies. And all of a sudden, like, should I make necklace? Should I make earrings? Should I make a ring? A ring, okay? And they go ahead and they just like take things and things starts happening in their brain. As they get involved with the materials, the more ideas come. But then it comes a point where this is what they are doing, and only this. They leave alone all endless possibilities, and they engage in this particular project, start to finish, and they forget about the time, and they forget about everything. They're completely swallowed by this project, and that's what they do, okay, until it comes to the final touches, right? They're going to do little things here, little thing there, polish here. Did you ever see how jewelers do the job? It's unbelievable, right? There's like a little construction. They have little, you know, heating elements and polishing elements, and it's like a whole situation there, right? And it's all, you know, with a magnifying glass to do all whatever else they need to do. And then they do it. And then it becomes, right? And everybody's like, whoa, amazing. Okay, and then they wear it, and then they have nachas from what they wear, or they sell it for a lot of money, whatever else they do with this, right? It's already, so this is the process. But they could have done diamonds. They could have done, I don't know, emerald, and go and figure out, they could have done earrings with this, and they could have, and they could have, and they should have, and they would have. But then it comes to something concrete, right? Very well defined, what they see in the mind until it comes to the action. And this is the process what we're talking about. This is the process. And then all of a sudden you see them work He's like, how did you do this? They have the same pair of hands, right? Like they don't have 6 fingers or something like that. Hopefully not. You know, they use very simple tools that anybody could use it. It's not like they have these fancy machines or something like that. And then you see them do these marvelous things. And then you're like, whoa, it's the same thing. And now it's with any type of art, you know, with knitting and crochet. You see these people use the same string and one tool, and they come up with this amazing designs and amazing, beautiful things. You don't even understand how they came up with this. There's so much math involved and art and vision and counting and all that stuff. This is what we're talking about, right? It's something so abstract, all kinds of different possibilities and options based on those skill levels. And then it comes to this ring. Okay. And they do it effortlessly. This is the key word, right? When a person, they say about the Rebbe's brother, Rabbi Yisrael Aryeh, right, by Fabrengens, a lot of l'chaims. This guy would just like pour out all the Chassidus that he knew in such a like marvelous way and in such a simple way. People who were around him were like stunned. They were like, whoa, where you get this all ideas from? And this is what Tevunah is. Tevunah is the ability to express complex things in a very simple way. Like this is just what it is, you know, and without revealing all the depth, because they've been there already. They swim through, they've done it. They're just bringing out the pearls to us. And they're the one who went down to swim and deep down and take all the pearls and take it out. And then we wear those pearls and we're like, oh, this is so beautiful. Oblivious to the whole process that had to happen. Now, why do you think he's telling this to us? I'm sure all of you like just to confuse us.
Maybe it connects to the whole idea of iyun in the beginning, that with hard work, you actually create these grooves.
Beautiful, yes, because iyun, remember in the beginning, it's like writing like any piece of, you know, you're supposed to have thesis, right? In your thesis, you kind of describe in short what this whole article is going to be about, right? That is like meaning there's a structure of how to write articles, right? You write a thesis, and that thesis summarizes somewhat about what you're going to be talking about. And then you go into detail and expansion in whatever else you're writing. And then you come to conclusion, which conclusion is pretty much rephrasing your thesis, right? So in the beginning, if you remember, in the beginning of chapter 2, he said very clearly what this chapter is going to be about, is to show us how iyun is working all the way down. Chapter 1 was showing us how iyun works all the way up to our Bina Liba, but now he's showing us how iyun is working all the way down, right? To actually visiting the heart. So what do you think he's telling us to us? Something very, very essential. Iyun is now in the middle in our brain, right? Before iyun was the lowest point, talking all the way the levels up. Now iyun is the middle point, talking all the way the levels on the bottom. So now iyun is what? Iyun is mamutza, right? Iyun is koach mamutza, to take deep waters. What are the deep waters are we talking about? We're talking about Bina Liba, Pnimius Nekudas Halev, to take it, process it, and imprint it in our heart. Okay? This is the purpose of Iyun. The best part of it is the bottom part happens automatically. The bottom part is the nachas type of thing. We're going to do the hard work of digging into the concept, creating all kinds of things, flow charts, reading it 100 times, analyzing it, having a fabrengens about it, discussing it, all the things that we are doing, right? And maybe should do more. But the way it's being revealed in Kli Gomer, right? In a full revealed way, that it's not going to vanish tomorrow. It's going to be the air that we breathe. It's going to become part of us. It's going to be like the state of being, right? All that is going to take place as a result of our Iyun, of going deeper into the concept and internalizing it. I'm done. My parts now.
Okay, if there are there questions, I'm just wondering if, first of all, if are there questions? People have questions, specific questions.
Could I say one thing?
Sure.
So Meir Abisera writes in his book that you work and work and work all your life and don't really see yourself getting anywhere. And one day they need someone to crack a code that nobody else can crack. And they come to you and you're able to crack the code and you don't know how you became that person.
Okay, yeah, interesting. But, you know, it's like, in a way, it's something happening outside of you and you are being needed for something. You know, for me, this whole knowledge is actually recognizing the internal structures that we already have in place. And it's personalized, you know, because truly cracking the codes and all that, that's beautiful. I want to crack my own code because this is my mission in life. And everybody's mission is you guys, all of you need to crack your code in. Where is it? How are we bringing the awareness of God into our lev basar chitzoni, right? The most external part of our flesh. This is the mission. That's it. That's all. If you think it's something else, it's wrong. It clearly states in Chassidus, the purpose of the soul to come down to this world is to do just this. Okay, Hashem makes it more entertaining. He gives us kids, he gives us this, he gives us all kinds of things. But this is our primary mission, is to affect the body. To this extent of Tevunah, as we were talking about. The rest is, making it harder, easier, whatever that may be. But every single person should have an access to their own soul, to their own code.
My question actually is, it seems to me like we're talking about Tevunah is the point at which the engraving takes place. But Tevunah is only the middos of the intellect. What about lower than that?
It's being automatically projected. That's the thing. Remember the sechel that the Rebbe says, yes. There is no an extra step to internalize. Once it's in the brain, it's being projected in the heart. And we know this from neuroscience. Once you have a circuitry in your brain, you're already empowered by that light. Your brain works with that circuitry in mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not an extra awareness that you need to have. It passes the awareness. It becomes a body structure.
But it doesn't mean that you're always working with it. It doesn't mean that you somehow have to go there. You have to access it.
No, you don't. That's what he's saying. He's not saying it. It's like, it's done. That's it. You do Tevunah, you have it. It's like eating food, like you're supposed to eat, like imagine you're eating like the healthiest food, that you have, that your body really needs. What do you consciously need to do? You need to go purchase the food, right? You need to chew it, and then you need to swallow it. Is there anything consciously you need to do beyond that point?
Yes.
No.
No. Carrot. You put it in front of your face. Yes, you do.
Fine,
You
whatever. Everything else. What? Okay. You prepare it, blah, blah, blah. You figure this out, and then you swallow it. And then you let go. That's it. I'm not telling consciously my stomach, okay, now move, now to the right, now to the left, now this, get absorbed. No, there's a system already is in place. And if I'm keeping my body healthy, my body knows exactly what to do with it. I don't need to tell it when it should do it, how. I need to know when I eat it. It's true. Okay, I need to eat all other things in order to support the absorption of, let's say, vitamin A. You need to eat with a little bit of oil. There's a whole chochmah of, healthy eating. I follow it all. There is a point where you let go. There is a point the internalization process is no longer conscious. I'm chewing it and I'm swallowing it and I'm letting my body do it. It's already becomes a subconscious process that I don't need to get involved consciously. Consciously, I need to do all the steps up until it reaches my mouth. I chew it well, 40 times, whatever it is, and I swallow it. That's it. And maybe I shouldn't drink water after it, not to dilute my juices, whatever. I'm just throwing it out there, meaning there is only certain things what I could do. But then there's a point where I let go. The body does it. And this is what we're talking about. We are consciously can do only this part. But then the body takes over, because let's not forget, Hashem has implanted his essence in the body. There is a wisdom of the body that if we do everything correctly up until a certain point, the body will take over and produce an amazing result for us, of an awareness of God that we didn't even dream of, because conscious mind does only to a certain point.
Mila, I think that's a beautiful analogy. And with that, we've reached 2 hours. So I think that we should call it a day. My question really is, if people come back next week and we continue, what do we need to do in order to really have some kind of Tevunah on this past paragraph? So
I think what we're going to do is we will do a worksheet. Bezrat Hashem. Yeah. I think, we've reached the point where we need a worksheet, or a couple of worksheets. And throughout the week, this worksheet will kind of help you to summarize in your head, and maybe a summary, summarize in your head, where we're going with it. Because he is bringing us somewhere, definitely, right? We're not done by the end of, it's like, to gather information and not force a conclusion yet. We don't know how to apply it in our Geula Mitzvah Shlema, on how to earn our first $1 million. We're not there yet. We're just taking it in and let, the body and the consciousness distribute it where it needs this knowledge.
Okay. So on that note, I'm going to stop recording. And so you're suggesting, Mila, that we're going to send out these worksheets during the week?
Bezrat Hashem, yeah, I was already thinking of, creating something and sending out. Probably by tonight, we'll work this around tonight or tomorrow. Well, I know it's quite late already by you guys.